Stephen, after a big performance and big result on Wednesday night, it's a big game again coming up at the weekend against Dundee.
Yeah, they're all big games, especially this one, because when we've played really well at times, we haven't followed that up with another performance. So that's our incentive. People saying to me, well, you're not looking over your shoulder, can you catch the ones above? We can't affect what anybody does below us or above us, but we can certainly affect ourselves. Our performance on Wednesday night was night and day, as I said, after the game, and it's that consistency levels now, and I believe we'll get that. I believe that we're working on things are improving, players are starting to get an understanding of what we want, and I think the evidence was that on Wednesday night. So it's for me to get that combination right again and make sure that we go and put a performance on at the end.
That point you make about understanding's a big thing I want to talk about, because obviously this is a slightly different system determined by the fact you've got different players coming in, and how are you finding the boys taking to this sort of style you're going for?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a little bit of transition. I think if I look at the cup final team, I believe we only had, I think, about 3-4 players that were involved in that cup final. So we've got 7 players have left or are injured that haven't been involved with. So you have to do things a little bit differently. It does take a bit of time, and you see that with the wide players we've got now and the signings that we've made, we have got an outlet. We have got players that can get to the byline and put balls into the box, and that understanding, a little bit more patience in our play. It does take time when you're used to doing stuff, and it's it's coming. The personnel that we've got in, we brought Alex in at the start of the season. He had injury problems, and you can see that he could be a very good player for us, if we can keep him fit, and that's generally been our problem, keeping players, making them robust enough. I've heard a lot of managers in the league talk about, being robust enough to play week in, week out, and that, not that academy mentality where sometimes I'm not 100% right. We need players to play and be tough and get through that, and I believe we've got a good squad of players if we can keep them fit to do it.
And then there's also been the fact you've had to manage the youngsters coming through, obviously getting the likes of Jake Hasty out on loan, making them game ready for the first team, and I guess you showed that with Elliot Freer picking up an injury before the game. He really came in and did some job, didn't he?
Yeah, I had no qualms at all. When Elliot wasn't fit, I thought, fine, okay, disappointing, but we've got equally as good with Jake. I think you have to be brave as a manager to put the young kids in, and we are when we think they're ready. We didn't feel Jake was ready at the start of the season, and as I said numerous times, Alloa and Jim have done a great job giving him the game time, and we'll do that again. We've done it with Barry Maguire. I believe Gary will do well for him, and Queen of the South give him that experience. Very good player who will come back. I feel he'll do the same. That's what we're about at the football club. We try and develop the young boys. It does take patience. It is frustrating at times, believe me. I'm as frustrated as anybody, so I feel people's frustration as well. I have to show it a little bit differently than perhaps fans do at times, but with the potential they've got and the longevity of the football club, it's the way forward. We have to combine that with the right flair in the team and the right people, people like Alan Campbell, another young one who does the dirty work that people don't see at times. Your Richard Tates, your Liam Grimshaws, they don't get the headlines, the other kids do and the other boys do, but it's to get that combination right, and I felt we got that Wednesday. We have to do that again on Saturday.
I just want to ask you about that, Stephen, because you touched on it, but is it quite hard to keep yourself contained sometimes? I know you obviously you maybe have to rein it in a little bit. Has that been a bit of a challenge for you?
I've got no choice. I'm on a 20-game ban now. The SFA have warned me, so yeah, it is. Sometimes I can go a bit crazy and mental on the touchline, and I'm learning from that. You can't do that, with the things with referees at this moment in time. We have to be more respectful, and I'm maybe biting my tongue a little bit more than I have done. It certainly doesn't mean to say that I care any less, or I'm not as frustrated, or I'm not as elated. So I probably will break that mould on occasions as well. But yeah, I think we have to be careful with you've seen what happened with John Beaton as well, and it's not acceptable in football, and I think we play our part, managers play our part in that as well. So it's certainly not any less passion, and sometimes when things are going right, then I probably will cross the line again, but I've got to be careful. And I think you set the example as a manager, and I've learnt my lesson from that as well. Just
to briefly go back to when we were talking about the youngsters there, of course, Maurice Ross coming in, you must be delighted to welcome him to the club.
Yeah, very much so. I think Mo gives us a different perspective to it. Very experienced. As I said, we are a club that we have to coach players. We value bringing our young players through. The young players that we've got at this moment, I think we've got a very good crop. We're talking between 16 and 18. So they're the boys that Mo will work with. Very, very young boys. We felt we had a little bit of a clog up in the reserves where boys weren't going to get into the first team, and the ones your David Turnbull's, your Adam Livingston's, your James Scott's, your Barry Maguire's. They were already training with us for the past year, and we felt that the ones below that may not progress as quickly as we wanted. So we've freed that up a little bit. Mo will come in, he'll work with the younger boys, and I think he'll bring a real freshness to us. And his job is to try and produce them through. Again, there'll be frustrations. We will lose reserve games because we're going with a very, very young reserve squad, but their development will be great. They've got a good person in charge. His session he put on was so detailed that I seen in the interview process, and that's what we have to do. We have to make these young boys equipped to get them in as early as we possibly can into our first team system, and I believe we've got the right man for the job.
And just to round off, as we look ahead to the weekend, Stephen, Dundee obviously coming on the back of a win. They'll be a tough team to play in. Do you have any sort of team news for us as well?
Listen, a great win for Dundee away at Hearts. Tynecastle, a very hard place to go to. They've freshened things up with new signings. I know Jim well. It'll be a tough game. It will be up and at them. It'll be, they'll put balls down the sides of them. The two boys up front, Curran is a menace. We've played against them lots of times for Ross County. So we have to produce the same performance again, the same level of basic winning your individual battles. People, go past that sometimes when you play good football. We have to earn the right to do that. We done that Wednesday night. We didn't do that Saturday, and we will have to do that very much so at Dens again. In terms of team news, Elliot will have a late fitness test today. We've got a few boys who we feel need a reserve game on Monday before they're in contention to be back in the first team picture again.
Well, Stephen, all the very best for the weekend.
Okay, cheers, Lewis. Thank you.